Ken wrote in asking me if he can force the producer of a podcast he used to co-host to take down those old episodes. Hi, I'm Gordon Firemark, and this is Asked and Answered, where I answer your entertainment law questions to help you take your career and business to the next level. Stay put, my answer's coming right up. So Ken was a co-host of this podcast, and he and the other host have now gone their separate ways. Ken doesn't want any association with the show or the other co-host, and he wants those old episodes featuring his performances taken down. He asks whether there's any legal recourse beyond just asking that they be removed. Well, this is a bit of a tricky one. You see, by agreeing to appear on the show in the first place, even though there may not have been anything in writing, Ken impliedly consented to having his performances recorded and distributed as a podcast. So I think he's going to have a tough time trying to withdraw that consent. Likely it will come down to a he said, she said kind of a thing about the overall scope of whatever consent he gave. But because podcasts are essentially a forever kind of medium, at least in most cases, I think the custom and practice in the podcasting space will favor the podcaster, the other guy. But what about copyright issues? Can this co-host claim a copyright in his part of the show, and therefore terminate whatever implied license might have been given? Well, this is actually a really interesting question because there's a case working its way through the courts right now. This video is being made in early 2015. That case is Garcia versus Google, in which an actress who was duped into performing in a film that was eventually released on YouTube succeeded in her claims of copyright authorship and thus was able to force her YouTube to take the film down. But that case is up on appeal in the federal courts, and most commentators think the earlier ruling was dead wrong. But here, the facts are pretty different. There doesn't seem to be any claim that our question is coming from someone who was tricked into co-hosting the podcast. So I don't think so. You see, even if he was considered to be an author, it's likely he'd be considered a joint author. Now, under copyright law, when two or more authors come together to create a work with the intention that their contributions will be combined a single unitary thing, that's a joint work, and they each own an undivided interest in the piece. So any author, any joint author, has the right to exploit that work, subject to the duty to account to and pay the joint authors their fair share of revenues, if there are any. Neither could stop the other from doing anything as long as it's on a non-exclusive basis. If it's exclusive, then yes, you need everybody's consent. So here, I don't see much basis for getting the old episodes taken down. But this illustrates why it's so important to have clear written agreements and consents whenever possible. You see, if these guys do wind up fighting over this, it could cost them tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and court costs. Or one party's got a bigger war chest and the smaller one just ends up having to cave in to the other one. So get it in writing and avoid these kinds of situations altogether. Now, I have an ebook, the Podcast Blog and New Media Producers Legal Survival Guide, and it addresses this kind of thing as well as a host of other legal issues that can gum up the works for new media content creators. Check it out at podcastlawbook.com. If you have a question that you'd like to see answered here in the Asked and Answered feature, go on over to firemark.com/questions and get it over to me. Thanks for watching.